The book's called Winning. So what is winning anyway?
I think winning is without question, Bob, defining what your objectives are, clearly laying them out, and then going for it with everything you got and getting there.
So one of the things in the book that you're quite outspoken about is candor. You say, let me tell you about the biggest dirty little secret in business, that in every culture, in every country, in every society and social class, there's this lack of candor. Now, why is that so important? Why is it so hard? How do you change that?
I think you have to build an organization. It's quite good in a small startup where people are all comfortable with each other. They know what the mission is. They understand the values. They reward the values. And they go after it with a passion. In a bureaucracy, it tends to get more and more subjected to pressures from the side, from the top, from underneath. People are afraid to speak out. And when it does, it slows you down. It really puts gum in the gears. And it really doesn't improve the workplace. People aren't being told what they're doing well and how they can improve. The evaluation processes aren't frequent enough. We get into this, I'm too kind to evaluate my team. This morning I was in San Jose with about 500 executives from startup companies down there and some pretty strong tech companies, Intel and others. And I asked the 400 people, how many people thought they had straightforward relationships in their company with their peers and with their associates? I didn't get 4 hands. 4 hands. That's frightening. It's sort of frightening that people are sitting in an organization and don't feel that people are laying it on straight and telling it like this. What was your experience?
I was lucky to work for a good company where over time we really developed this honest feedback. But it wasn't that way when I first joined.
It takes real time.
Real leadership and commitment. Yeah.
And you got to reward that value. In the end, you get the behaviors you reward. If you reward candor, if you reward straightforward talk, you will get it. If you, on the other hand, don't do that, you'll get close to the best behavior.
You've also been outspoken not only on candor, but on differentiation. That part of candor is to be honest with people about where they stand, and you're noted for this top 20, middle 70, bottom 10.
Noted is a kind word.
Tell us a little bit more about differentiation, and shouldn't we be a little tougher on student grading, perhaps?
Well, I think you probably did differentiate in school, and you recognize who the top students are, and you recognize where the middle is, and you recognize the bottom. The thing that's crazy is, why is grading and differentiation okay in the 4th grade through getting an MBA, but it in no way is applicable to adults? It's nuts. Why you would end up having this false kindness where you don't tell people where they stand until you run into trouble. So my view is, take care of the top 20, and this isn't a permanent thing, it changes all the time, but take that top 20, make them feel loved, hug them, give them cash, give them rewards in the soul and the wallet, do everything for them. That middle 70, show them what they need to do to get in the top 20, and that bottom 10, tell them why they basically should move on. And don't do it in a guillotine job. Have a conversation that goes over a year or so about what their shortfalls are. Tell them they're in the bottom 10. Don't give them a raise of any kind. Don't give them 2-3%, that fake raise that keeps people hanging around. Cut off the salary issue, and then ask them to leave and say, let's over the next several months work together to get you in the right place. That's so much better than these crazy situations. Companies in the valley here, they run into trouble. What do? They're going to cut costs. They're going to have a layoff. They walk into people and they say, look, Joe, Mary, we got to cut you back. We got to take you out. We need to cut costs now. And they say, why us? And they say, well, you weren't that good. And then they say, but we've been here 12 years and nobody ever told us that. That's what happens in this false kindness thing. People get misled, and then if you do it too late in your career, I maintain that not having differentiation is the cruelest form of manager. The cruelest thing. If you have responsibility, if you lead people, they should know where they stand. As you go out from school here now with shiny MBAs, and you go work for somebody, initially it's going to be about you. You'll be a leader. You'll be an individual contributor, starring in something, and starting something up or doing something else, but it'll be about you. The day you become a leader, managing 5, 8, 10 people, it becomes about them. And your future is tied to them. You no longer do the nitty-gritty little stuff. You build them into great people, and you get a kick out of that. And then you get the benefits of their success as you go up. If you keep doing what you started doing when you joined the place, doing your job, your project, rather than building your team, you'll go nowhere in a layered society.
In the book, you use candor and differentiation and a few other things, mission and values and a voice and dignity as what you call first principles. You just got to have this in a company to be successful. Are you surprised at how few organizations really have these first principles?
Shocked. I mean, it is. Mission and values are the most gobbledygook conversation pieces in companies. I mean, a mission statement ought to be so clear. It ought to exactly know where you're going to go, define it clearly and go after it, not have this mission of goodness and all these other words that get in like mission statements. Make it very clear what you want to be. And then have the values, which I call behaviors. Values are a misused word. Values are behaviors. The behaviors you want to achieve that mission. And then you measure and reward, as I said, in the soul and the wallet, those behaviors. And when people don't exhibit those behaviors, and you want them, and you finally have to part company with people because they didn't exhibit the behaviors and values you wanted, you can't say that they went home to spend more time with personal time with the family. You've got to say, here's why these people didn't make it. They're good people, they're this and that, but they didn't have our values. One of the craziest things you see in corporate America is it's run by lawyers in some ways, where you end up with integrity violations. And people say, well, we had to let so-and-so go. They want to spend more time at home. You got to say, you got to hang them publicly for doing bad stuff. You got to set the tone of your values and your behavior. And if you're doing it right, you can't be afraid to put it out there. And so I think that you set a mission, you set the behaviors, you operate in an open, candid, as you said, takes time, build trust, transparent fashion, and you give every employee voice and dignity, and you've got a foundation that means something.